So, good evening guys, excuse the double over, I've always got to check my headset before we get going. So, good evening guys, excuse the double over, I've always got to check my headset before we get going. I think we're okay, I'll give it a little nudge. I think we're okay, I'll give it a little nudge. Yeah, I think we're good. So, welcome guys, and oh, let's try that again, chat. Good evening, guys, and welcome to HLR's latest partner in P-Zero. It is round 2, and tonight we head to Jeddah. If you joined us last Sunday, of course, you would have seen the guys on the grid. Just to give another overview exactly what P-Zero is and what they aim to achieve. P-Zero, I would say, if I was to give an overview, is a league dedicated to those still improving but willing to learn and wanting to better themselves. If you know anything about F1 league racing, you'll understand very quickly that leagues are usually dominated by certain drivers, which is fine, and that's what we expect to see over a long period of time. But P-Zero wants to give something to the average driver. And I respect it and I like it. I think everybody should have the opportunity to go out and attack races and be able to win rather than just focused and fighting in the midfield every race. So P-Zero is dedicated to those who would normally midfield fight. This league is designed to give them a fighting opportunity to race at the front of a grid, really lay down a title challenge, and also alongside their teammate have a good go at Constructors' Championship. So this is P-Zero, this is what they're about. It's a league, I think, run by, I'd like to fling out 3 names, Shiv, Skarma and Mika Lando, aka Chris. I think that's the 3 main men in control. There could be others, but that is what they stand for. This is what they do. So, as I said, tonight we head to Jeddah, the circuit along the Red Sea. A circuit of many corners. I think it's got round about 26 corners. I think in an F1 car you're really only going to notice about 15 of those. So I will probably number them in the main corners, if you will, and I won't be so quick to call out the corners that are, well, it's hardly a corner, it's as good as driving in a straight line in a Formula 1 car. But before we get into tonight's evening, let's get some facts from last week's race. I really like that Shiv puts this up, and his facts just need to be going on stream. So last week, of course, we started at Bahrain. Matthew Minsell was his 7th career victory in F1 league racing, the same many as Mr. Matoman, Matthew Walker, and our very own Juan Pablo Montoya. Fernando Alonso, 2010, Sebastian Vettel, 2017, Lewis Hamilton, 2019 are also drivers to have won the Bahrain Grand Prix from P3 in the grid. A car with a Mercedes engines have been in the winning constructor at Bahrain's 7 out of the 17 races held there, but this is the first time a Williams driver has stepped foot on the top step of the podium in Sakir. So there you go. In the 2021 game cycle, no one else had led the championship except for Mate, so it was a very good start. Rob Wills got his 9th pole position, the same amount of the fellow Ferrari driver in Charles Leclerc, who also secured his first ever pole position at Bahrain, so there's an interesting start. Matoman's 11th fastest lap, equaling the career total of John Surtees. Matoman did not beat the league lap record at Bahrain, which he set himself last season, so he wasn't able to improve, so maybe a sign of just a little step backwards in his first round for this season. Michael Nuss got his 3rd podium finish, the same amount of Pierre Gasly and Lance Stroll, and it's the highest amount of finishers P-Zero has witnessed in a game. So that is some stats from last week, exactly how it run down. We'll get some telemetry on the circuit. I'll get the stream back up to see who's in joining us, and we will get on board with our man Shiv. So let's get back to the stream. Let's see who's the chat. Mr. Robert Kelly, Michael Nuss, Rob Wilson, good evening. Mr. SPW also. Go on the boys from Matthew Minsell. I hope you're all well, gentlemen. And of course tonight we head to Jeddah. Bill is in the chat. Oh yep, Bill is in the chat. Yeah, it is Bill. In to support his fellow man in Skarma. So I've not went to full map because I'm silly. We'll keep the tyre up. So I think Shiv is our lead man. So we will go with Shiv. He's out on the medium compound tyre. for what is a lap of the track with the highest speed on the calendar. Now, was once of course Monza, but Jeddah is a very, very fast circuit. A circuit where I would say exits are more critical than entries, but big commitment at Apex will reward lap time, so something for the drivers to bear in mind to get the most out of their car. But Shiv will open his lap, you'll pop the DRS open. Coming up to turn 1, you want to attack the inside curve at 1 as much as you possibly dare to open up turn 2. So we'll see how Shiv gets on there. He'll find the brakes about 80 metres. He chooses not to take too much on 1, that's maybe just the medium tyres. Get a nice exit 2, using all of the track. Now that's turn 3, we'll just forget that. This is what we'll call turn 3. Take all of the curb on the inside. Then in 4, 5, 6 and 7 come at you thick and fast. So there's 4, there's 5, now 6, now 7. In fact it's more, then 8, then 9. So turns 4 through 9 are done in a blink of an eye. That'll be the end of sector 1. Shiv's going to get out of the lap, but we'll just stay with him as he goes round. Or do we have a driver in fact behind just coming round? It may actually be our man Skarma. It is, so we'll pick up Skarma just where Shiv got off. We'll finish sector 1 and come up to what is turn 10. And it's a long left-hander, balancing the power out. The car's naturally going to drift wide there like it did for Skarma. Be very careful on that one. Then this is essentially turns 12 and 13, but it's not. This is what will come turns 12, and this is 13 on the exit. Rear of the car really struggling there for Skarma, so he's not quite get the tyres into the window just yet. Then these are hardly any corners, so we'll turn this, we'll go up to here, and we will call this turn 15, and then 16, and 17. Then we could say turn 18, but it's hardly even a corner, so we'll just call turn 18. This last big braking zone down at the bottom of the straight. You'll find he's braking very late, it's about 70 metres, considering you're carrying so much speed. It's quite a deceiving braking point. Get a good exit in the last corner, DRS will pop open, and to the line, he's going to be somewhere in the 29s I think here, Skarma, and it's a 29.8 benchmark set. Keith just behind. There's a 31.3, Rodders has done a 31.6, of course Rodders having a very strong performance. Bonjour, Mr. Pedro. And Keith has just got a 5-place grid penalty for a severe collision with Rodders. But I was on board with Rodders and they appeared not to make any contact, so I'm not quite sure exactly what's happened there. So who else have we got? We've got Dale's Hunter on a lap. Up to sector 1. How's the split looking for Dale? Keith will get well out of the way on the inside. It's a 33.5. As Leon Evans does a 29.7 and slips that corner into pole position by 1/10 of a second. Matoman slots in there in P4 on a 30.5. Metcalf also on a 30.5. So we see, just like last week, the grid very, very competitive. Dixie on the mediums, 30.8. That's going to be one to watch. I think he's got a lot of time in the bank. Does Adam, so we'll see him improve as the session goes on, and the drivers obviously opt to go to the soft tyre near the end. Strategy wise coming into tonight's race, a very simple one stop, soft to medium, early safety car. You probably want to avoid the hard compound tyre here. We could see people maybe run a double medium. But Dale Sunter to the last corner, suffering with a hell of a lot of oversteer, or understeer sorry, and a big bit of lag out the last corner, but to the line he goes. It's going to be a 33.5 for Dale Sunter. He will slot into P11. Built on Matt, our race winner last week on the mediums, just opening a lap. So let's stay with our race winner and let's see exactly what kind of pace he has in that Alpha Tauri. Guys, if you haven't, of course, drop a thumbs up on the chat on the stream, and of course if you haven't subbed to the channel, please do. We just went over 100 subs just the other day, and it's been a very good trajectory for this new HOR page. It's only been up for 6 months, 7 months, and we've managed to get up to 100 subscribers, so I'm doing very well. Of course, that's because we deliver a lot of content, and a lot of good content run by a lot of good people, and then there's Adam. So built on that, looking steady, but we'll stay on board. I need to go grab myself a little can of juice. And of course, coming into the race tonight, probability of safety car very high. So when you think about it in lap 1, you're probably best just to start the race on a soft compound tyre. Outside the top 10, you take the punt and the medium. But I think everybody will qualify inside that top 10 on the soft compound tyre. So built on that, out the last corner, of course, invalidated his first run. So he's a little bit down the time. It's going to be a 31.1 in his medium compound tyre. Only a few tenths off Dixie. But look at Shiv on his medium, 30.0. Shiv looking very, very strong and comfortable for pole position. We've got Pedro making his debut in P0 also. Out on his first out lap. How is Mick getting on? No, Mick on a lap. He goes to P4 on a 30.1. We'll jump to some of the guys further behind. We've got Laverick, Mr. Rob Wills and Brian. So Laverick's our lead man. We've got Laverick from Brown Dog and then from Rob Wills. So we can just stay on board and we'll filter these last 3 guys down. And Pedro's went straight back into the pits. So he's chosen not to continue his lap. I wonder why that is. Oh, built on Matt, is it Matty? Oh my god, oh yeah, that's right. Oh, is it Matty Shaw, is that? Oh. Skarma, don't write in chat and make me look stupid. That was kind of stupid. So Laverick will be our next man to get a lap time on the board. He's looking to be pretty much on the button. He's probably going to be 31s. And it's a 31.2 for Laverick. So where is Rob? Rob out the last corner, and then he will be followed. And Rob on to pole position by a big margin, 1.1 seconds now. The gap from P1 to P2, that is a big marker laid down there from Rob Wills. So let's see, let's stay with Leon Evans and we'll see if we can get a full run through on board of a tasty hot lap at Jeddah. And I will do my best in my very basic knowledge to talk us through a lap, or how I would attack a lap here. So at the last corner, I would opt for the wider line. I want to open that last corner right up to open my lap, get a nice good big burn all the way to the line. Stay to the right hand side. As I said, you want to attack the inside curb at turn 1 as much as you dare. Get all over it. That's a beautiful line there from Leon Evans. Then go all over 2, get the power on, which opens you up. Then we'll barrel up to turn 3, again attacking the curb on the inside, get all over it. Leon does, car tries to drift right, keeps it just within the limits. Nice throttle balance through 4, 5, 6, 7, very good there from Leon, and his front right tyre stayed within the track limits there, so that is a rough way for the game to take the lap off. But Leon was looking very tidy through sector 1, and I know from self-experience, sector 1 is the place where you will gain, you will win or lose your race, and in qualifying your lap time will be gained mostly in that sector. So much time to be found, such a precise line and such high carry speeds that it just takes you a few laps to get there. So where is your owner Mika? Mika coming through really well, so we'll watch him as he comes through 4, 5, 6, oh sorry 8 and 8 again. Drivers, the front right tyre staying within the track limits in the game, taking the lap away. So let's try Keith. Oh, and Keith's going to miss turn 1 massively, goes a bit deep. Where is our man Pedro? So Pedro, we'll stay with Pedro as he comes through. Here's turn 8, turn 9, gets a nice exit onto the back straight, then up to what we will call turn 10. Of course it's not, but we're going to call it that because it's the most relevant corner to an F1 car. He's going to carry the high line in to duck low on the exit. That will stop him dragging too wide to the outside wall. That was a good line there from Pedro. Hug the inside walls, then turn 11, chuck it in, commit to the wall as much as you can on the inside, and on the exit of 12, stay left as much as you dare, abusing that curb, shorten your run down this, what we would call the back straight, although it's not very straight. Yes, equal cars, SPW. Then turn 12, or 13 sorry, nice and tidy, could have took a lot more apex there. And DRS will pop open and down the back straight. into the last corner he goes. Pedro braking very late, down at like 50 metres there. DRS will pop open. Oh, he's not using DRS. And Pedro goes into P5 without using any DRS. That's interesting. Did he forget? I need to relay information, chat. I need to get this off. So I'm going to ask. I can relay some information to find out why Pedro never used any DRS. Let's get on board the Mick though, who is up on his lap. He's got a bit of traffic coming up. Hopefully the Haas recognises he's coming. Well, I think the Haas may be on a lap. It's Brown Dog on a repeated run. Rodders and Jock both. I think Rodders out. Jock, I think, serving a quality ban this evening. So he just went out, done an installation lap, got his setup locked on. And look at this, Brown Dog. Is he going to pull Mick down this back straight? Mick, oh, and the inside line there is actually the optimum racing line, so guys will need to be aware of that. Into the last corner goes Mick, tucks it up nicely to the apex. Hesitant on the power there because he's seen the front end of the car was really threatening to touch the wall. But Mick to the line, he improves to P6 by only finds half a tenth of a second. So who else do we have? Where do we have? How's Keith getting on? Keith 3 tenths up into the last sector. So Keith looking to improve himself, get into that group of the 30s. It's a very, very big group. So Pedro never used DRS because he's a donkey. We can't really say much more than that, than he's a donkey. SPW thinks Paul's going to piss this. I think Rob Wills is looking very strong. Goes 6 tenths of a second gap now between the two drivers. Where is Built-On Matt? How is he getting on? He's just coming to open a lap. So Mika, is he going to the line? Is he about to improve? No, Mika just opened the lap. So Built-On Matt's going in. Haha, Robert, I've seen the message you sent before you restricted it. Na 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 na. I'm just messing, mate. I'm just messing. And chat, if you're watching back this video later, don't worry. Mr. Rob put something in the chat and then restricted the message. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not just a strange person. Although you probably think I am. Which I respect it. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. I probably am a bit weird too. So, I want to find a lead man on a hot lap. Where is our Shiv? I know it said Matt Robert. I've seen it, mate. I actually thought you were calling SPW, Matt. I am a right odd sod. I know SPW. You've got to be an odd sod to sit in a headset and do this stuff, I think. I don't think anybody with a brain would willingly make themselves sound like an idiot for hours. Hey Robert, look man, things happen, mate. I think the respectful matter in the whole situation is you put your hands up straight away and say, look, I messed up, I made a mistake, you're sorry. That's what drivers can never ask, you know. I never say anybody that does league racing goes out their way to cause an impact, but Shiv improves to P2, 28.9, sorry to jump in the conversation there, Robert, but Shiv gets himself within 2 tenths of a second to Rob. How is Skarma getting on? So Skarma's had a bad first sector, he's dropped out the lap. Laverick's going to get out his lap as well. Mika Lando 1.4 up, oh yeah, he gained, so Chris White himself up to P7, 29.8. And we are starting to get to the crunch time of the session, so if you're not out now, you are not getting a lap. So Pedro, I think, is one of our next men. In fact, let me see. Mataman might be our next man. He is. So let's see how Mataman's going to go on. 4.5 tenths up, but needs to find some more time. Chat, I apologise. My son was just very sick and I have missed the tail end of qualifying, but Rob Wills on pole by 0.2 of a second to Mataman. Is Mataman? No, Mataman is not going to be on a lap because he is not using any energy. So Rob Wills P1, Matt 2, Shiv 3, Skarma 4 is built on Matt on a lap. He is built on Matt, so let's stay here. 0.6 of a second up. He could put Rob Wills under big pressure here. He's going to be the last man to get a lap in. Can he sneak the pole position at the tail end of the season? Shiv says half a second up and he bottled it. Well, was it going to be enough to deploy? He's out and Beltermark is onto pole by 1/100th of a second. Absolutely nothing splits him and Rob Wills, both on a 28.6, but it's a 28.662 for Matt and a 28.678 for Rob Wills. Matt a couple of tenths behind, Shiv a tenth behind then, and then a bit of a gap to Skarma, Dixie, Laverick, Leon, Mick and Pedro all rounding out the top 10, but a very, very compressed grid. Mika Lando there on a 29.8 as well. Then we've got Nyeri, Brown Dog, Speechy, Metcalf, Keith, Dale, Rodolph and Jock to round out our top 19. What a session. So well done Built on Matt. Pole position secured. But very, very close between them all. So apologies, excuse the crackle on the headset as well. So Belter Matt on pole, Rob Wills P2, Matt 3, Shiv 4, Skarma 5, Dixie 6, Laverick 7, Leon Mick, Pedro P10, Michelando 11, Yeri P12, Brown Dog 13, Speed. Stupid, Speechy 14, Metcalf 15, Keith 16, Dale Sunners 17, Rodders P18 and Jock with that Coliban will start at the back of the grid in the P19. But that was a very, very close qualifying session. Just look at the gaps there between the top 10 and you will see that this could be very entertaining. I think survival at Jeddah is going to be your main aim. Matt would have been pole. Belter blocked Matt where Mick Schumer. Oh, so 20, he blocked at turn 21. I know the corner. Just before you come on to the last couple of corners to go down the back DRS zone, grid does look very, very close. Shiv, as it did last week, this is the exact reason that I wanted to keep following P0. Because, as I say, you don't need to be the quickest guys in the planet. As long as the grid's close, it's going to be very competitive. So we will wait for the guys to get set for their form lap. And then we will go get some racing done. So, let's have a look. We can actually do this. Look, we can go and get a sneaky peek at people outside our top 10. And they have all opted for the soft compound tyre. So, it's every driver pre-anticipating. Of course, there is a 2-minute gap, a 2-minute delay. The guys don't start the grid straight away. They just like to give everybody fair opportunity to preset their tyres. Get themselves going. So, a couple of guys opting for the mediums further down the grid. Michelando and Yeri both bolted the medium compound tyre on, of course. Pedro in P10, he's stuck to his softs. Brown Dog in 13 on the softs. Speechy on 14 on the mediums. And then we have Jock on the mediums and Keith. Oh, Keith ended up at the back. I don't understand exactly what's happened there. Keith must have got disqualified from the session. And that's how he's ended up at the back of the grid. So that's unfortunate. So hopefully the guys can keep it nice and tidy through the first corner. In fact, lap 1 is a hold. In fact, the full sector 1 is critical, I would say. Once you get, if you can get through sector 1, I think the grid will naturally file out. But you got to get through that first sector. Now, there's going to be side-by-side racing and a bit of a track that's very difficult side-by-side racing. So if you are going to commit to be beside a driver, you both have to be very willing to leave a lot of space and compromise a lot of lap time to leave that space. That's just the nature of the circuit. Sectors 2 and 3, you can do a lot more high speed side by side, but you will lose tremendous amounts of time in sector 1 if you try and race somebody side by side. You're better to just focus on the exit at turn 10, or turn 9 as we would call it, and get the run up that little straight to the next corner. There's a good opportunity in that braking zone. You can take a couple of lines into turn 10, the open left-hander, the long left turn. So yeah, there is opportunity ahead of themselves. So it'll be Belter, Matt and Rob Wells on row 1, Matoman and Shiv on row 2, Skarma and Dixie on row 3, Laverick and Leon on row 4, Mick and Pedro row 5, Michelando and Yeri row 6, Brown Dog and Speechy row 7, Metcalf and Dale row 8, Rodders and Jock row 9, and Keith at the back there on his lonesome on row 10 and P19. So let's get some things on. We'll go for position changes off the start, because I always feel that's the best thing because I can only watch the front. It's best to watch the front of the grid for the sake of the content, because that's where the action is, so I can get an idea of who's lost positions, or if any drivers had a big moment, I'll see them drop down the order and their positions drop very quickly. So 25 laps ahead of the drivers. I think they will aim to probably run 10 laps in the softs, 15 laps in the mediums. It's probably more like 9 and 16. I agree, SPW. I think Adam's going to hold an advantage just because he's on the wheel. I think for longevity and long consistency in the race, he should be able to find the sweet spots in all the corners more consistently than those on the controller. So I think Dixie could be one to watch coming forward when it falls into race pace. But it depends. You want Adam to crash. I don't even know what to say to that. So Belter Matt got himself a little bit of a gap. I wonder if he'll check the grid up, or he'll just happily roll to the line. He won't be bothered much. Some guys it doesn't bother. That's a fair statement, Mr. SPW. That is a very, very fair statement. So Belter Matt takes his grid slot. We'll go to the back. We'll watch Keith file in, and then we will get ready for P0 round 2 at Jeddah. I don't know what season this is. I'd like to maybe see the season, but here they go. The drivers fall into line. There would normally be a little man that walks over the back of the grid with a green flag, but of course it's a game, so we will not see that. But we'll take that as a green flag. We will go to Brown Dog, who's... there we go. So we'll have 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights, and P0 round 2, lights out, and away we go. And we'll get, I don't know why the hell it's put me to that, so we'll go back to the front of the grid. Beltomat gets a good start. Matoman gets a better start on that outside line, but there's a bad contact there. Matoman has been touched up the rear. I don't know if that was with Skarma. There's been a 5-second time penalty for a severe collision with Yeri, so we'll watch this filter through. So Beltomat escapes away in P1, Rockwell's 2, Skarma 3, Map 4, Shiv 5, Mick and Pedro both managed to gain 3 positions off the start. Dixie lost out on a couple. Have the guys picked up any damage? Dixie's not picked up any damage, but I think he's just over pushing the car. So I think he was just maybe pushing a little too much. Pedro will get through it, but just a little bit of a check up between the guys. Pedro into P7. Matoman sitting right behind Skarma and looking to capitalise here, and look at the run he's going to get. He's going to go to the outside line. Matoman looking to make gains early in the lap, and Skarma will accept it. He'll filter in behind, and Matt will push on. So let's see what's happening further down the grid. We've got Mika Lando now all over the back of Rodders. These guys of course on the medium compound tyre. Can Miko get a run down as well? Shiv now getting through, and Skarma as well. Skarma losing a couple of positions there on that back straight on the way through, but we'll go back to the Mika Landers Rodders fight. Is Mika going to send one down into the last corner? He will go down the inside. Rodders will leave the space at the apex. Mika Lando picked his throttle up, but Rodders gets a very good exit on that wider line built on that with the fastest lap of the race so far. And Mika will need to stay in behind. There's nobody beside. He'll come to the inside line for turn 1. He'll go later on the brakes this time, and Rodders has to concede the place. Keith had a little look at the back there, but never got through. We've got Dixie in the pit, so I'm wondering if Dixie just had damage that wasn't visible for us. So we're starting to see a distinct break in the pack. We've got P1 to P7 starting to pull away, and then a bit of a yellow flag there. Rodders, as he had a moment. Rodders has had a moment. He's got some damage as well, so that's going to be critical to the race. Let's see where the shortest gaps are though. Mika Lando now putting pressure on Metcalf, so looking at very strong in the medium compound tyre. Chris trying to recover the positions that he lost early in the race. Jock has been kicked. Are you back in the car? Jock 14879. Right, let me go blue for a bit, Jock. I'll see if I can get you an invite. Oh, I can't invite, can I? Jock, write your gamer tag in the chat, please. Jock. Excuse the blue screenshot. 14879. Was that right? There we go. Right, Jock, I've dropped you an invitation, mate. I've got you an invite out now, mate. I managed to drop you one. So hopefully you can get back in the session now. DRS is enabled as we get on to lap 3. And where is the battle's going to come? I think our top 4 here is going to get into a bit of a fight. So let's stay with this fight. Skarma's fell off a little bit, been put under pressure now by Mick as well. So Mick, yeah, Jock, I managed to get you one out, mate. So Rob Wills, I think, will go through and build on Matt on this lap round. Big DRS zone coming up, down the back straight, and I think he's well within that window. We're not seeing any gaps, but he is a couple of tenths away. DRS will come open. Built on Matt, pushing no. So not willing to concede. I think Rob Wills happy to play the long game though. He's not going to push anything too critically at the moment. Pedro now getting onto the back of this Mick fight with Skarma also at the front as Mataman sets the fastest lap of the race. And just as I go back to that, we'll get a 3-car battle coming into turn 1. Mataman will look at that outside line. He will get built on Matt on the outside. Now he will look at Rob Wills. What kind of move has he got there? Up to turn 3. He's going to have to just accept that he's sitting in behind it now. But of course Rob Wills has lost out in that DRS. And now we've got Mick through Skarma also. So it's all kicking off in lap 4 of the race. DRS has been activated and has provoked overtakes left, right and centre. Let's go back to our man Shiv. Mataman's went wide. Mataman has went wide at the long left-hander of what we call turn 10. And where's built on that? Oh. Oh, and Mataman's round. Mataman has dropped the car. Oh, is the session broken? Oh, chat, what's happened? I've just lagged out the session. So, I'm not quite sure what's happened there. I've seen a lot of people disconnect. Built on Matt went away. Keith went away. I think we're still in the race, so I'm just gonna stay on it. Built on Matt lags out the session. I don't understand what's going on. Mataman boxes up. He needs to get off, get that wing changed. He'll probably go into the medium tyre as Built on Matt now is overtaken by Mick, and of course Skarma and Pedro now will push up. And I don't want to go to blue screen for too long, chat, but I am going to try and drop Built on Matt -IRC. Let me see if I can get him an invitation. An error has occurred. Okay, I cannot invite people. Not really sure exactly what is going on at the moment. Pedro gets through on Built on Matt. Of course, he's an AI car. So this will allow Pedro to close in on Skarma a little bit. Hunting down that P4 position. And is Skarma derating? Yes, yes. So Pedro looking pretty comfortable at the moment. 70%. Going on 13% for Skarma. So Rob Wills has checked out at the front. Shiv has fell back a little bit. Then we've got that gap to Mick, who's been trailed hard by Pedro and Skarma. Right, I am going to try and see if I can get an invite out. No, I cannot get invites out, chat, so if you are watching and you're trying to get me to send you, I'm very sorry, but it's just giving me an error code every time I try and send one. So how is Dixie getting on in his recovery? He's got himself back to within 13 seconds of the pack. And he is moving on nicely. Jog back in the car, so he'll be happy with that. Oh, and Jog's made a big move at Daleson, and that's going to turn him round. Has he picked up any damage? It's not showing it on the screen, but I assure you, after that contact with the wall, oh, and that will be definite damage now. Matthew Walker had a spin on the exit of 10, the long, the hairpin to essentially come back on yourself on the track, SPW. He dropped the car on the exit, or maybe a little bit of contact, I'm not too sure, but the car went round, got himself some damage, and had to box. So Skarma in the pits, onto the medium compound. And a wing change. No, Skarma. So Skarma picked up some damage. Built on Matt, stay, mate. I'm gonna try and. I know, mate. The game's a joke. I'm getting error occurs. Matt, to re-accept an invite, mate, you will have to close and reload your game. It's the only way you'll get back in. So if you quickly close your game and then reload it, and you should get back in that way. Oh, and I think we have a restart for lobby desync. So we'll wait on official word from the guys. Now I wonder, will they race to 50 or will they go to 25%? 7 laps in, 25 would be 13 laps. It's not quite there, is it? It's not quite there to justify 25%. Safety car came out for a reason. Not too sure. Yeah, I seen that. Oh yeah, oh, and there's some definite desync coming into the pits there, because Pedro's just drove straight through the back of Mick. Yikes! What is this game, chat? Just drop me an invite when the new lobby's up, if that's the way the route is going, Rob. I'll let you organise your boys first. I thought something just wasn't quite right with the lobby, honestly. So Shiv is dinked out, Rob. So I think it is. So there it will go. Yeah, I think we've got big desync, Mick. So I think the guys are going to do a restart. So Rob, I think we're on a Rob Kelly, sorry, I think we're on a restart. So let me just go back in the chat to Rob Wells called the restart at 37, so I need to go back 3 minutes. So Rob, I will send a picture on let me just wait till this focuses up. So I will put a picture in of the grid, Rob, at the exact point you've called the restart to me on stream, if you're watching. I don't know how you want to play the grid, if you're going to just reset it normally or... But I will give you a picture of just for reference. I will put it in Discord. So, we will get a restart, chat. Big lobby desync. It's not fair to allow the drivers to keep try to race through that. It's super unfortunate. I will just go blue screen for a second until I get into the new lobby. Oh, there's a new invite not up yet. So, it's probably going to mean, chat, that I need to restart the stream. So bear with me 1 second, because I will need to close the game, because it's going to bug me out if I don't. So let's just close it on that one for now, chat, and the stream will be back up in 30 seconds time. Okay, chat, just bear with me.